Good evening, welcome to Cardiff City TV.
What a finish, what a goal!
Welcome to Cardiff City Stadium as this afternoon the Bluebirds are at home to Sheffield United. I am joined, who is also on commentary, I'm joined by JP, commentary duties tonight as well. The team sheets are out, so the starting 11 are out. We'll go through them first. There are 4 changes for the Bluebirds this afternoon. Kipray is in and Ryan Wintle are back after suspension. Tom Sang is back in midfield and Mark Harris is back in the team. The team as a whole, Ryan Alsop in goal, Marlon Romeo, Perry NG, Kipray and Konku, Wintle, Joe Rowles in captain position, Tom Sang, O'Dowda, Mark Harris and Callum Robinson. Notable on the bench as well, we've got Colwell, who has got the Welsh call-up, which we'll talk about in a bit. The Sheffield United, they've had 3 changes since their last outing. Chris Basham, Billy Sharp is back, and Ollie Blaster. They're all back, so 3 changes to them, 4 for Cardiff. We'll start with Cardiff. This is a must-win tonight.
It's important, Ali, absolutely. You know, we're about to get to the World Cup break. The owner was in town during the week, and he still has high aspirations for this season, rightly so. But if Cardiff don't win today, they've gone into the World Cup break on the back of 2 losses, and you've got 4 weeks then of people talking about that. You've got 4 weeks of, are Cardiff looking towards the bottom of the table, or are they looking towards the upper half of the table? So I think this is really important today against a very, very good team, but a team decimated by injury. So a real chance for the Bluebirds today. Yeah, I think they need to take it.
They will be looking for the win due to the fact that it's halfway through the season, we're going into that international break. What do you make of the team? 4 changes, how important do you think that's going to be?
Well, I think 2 of them were going to be made, Kipray and Winslow coming back after not being available in the week due to suspension. I think if they're available, they start. What interests me is Cardiff probably had their best first half of the season last Saturday away against Sunderland. They tweaked the formation a little bit. They played a kind of a 4-2-3-1, and yet the last 2 games maybe they've moved away from that a little bit. That's the manager's choice, and he has reasons for that. The players that have come in, the 2 I've mentioned, Ryan Wintle will speed up how Cardiff City move the ball. He's very good at taking the ball short and opening up the pitch and bringing particularly his wide players, the full-backs, into play. And Mark Harris is someone we know who can, probably playing from the left today, can stretch and run in behind, which could be important against 3 centre-halves. He can find space between wing-back and centre-half. So I'm a little surprised we haven't seen a repeat of the Sunderland formation and the Sunderland team in the last couple of games, albeit with Jaden Philogene out with injury. But yeah, there's personnel in there today, and crucially on the bench, Ali, who can make a difference.
And also, manager Mark Hudson has accepted the position to the end of the season, so he's going in that wanting to make his mark. He's going to be making his own decisions, and he's going to be wanting to start to make a statement with the team and getting those wins.
Yeah, you know, of course he's been there since pre-season. He's been here since last year, coming in as first team coach. But now he's in the hot seat. It's been game after game after game during his initial stages in the job. So maybe the 4 weeks coming up will be good for him, just to restock, retake. He's already speaking to the owner about January. But again, it's for him and for the feel-good factor around the club. You know, Mark Hudson's got a little bit of time. The fans like Mark Hudson. I like Mark Hudson because he was a member of the Cardiff City playing side that was so successful. So Mark Hudson has maybe got a little bit more scope to do things than previous managers. But for one reason or another, mainly some sending offs which didn't help, it's an up and down record he's got at the moment. It's an inconsistent record. These 4 weeks will give him a chance to get on the training pitch with players who aren't going away, build his style, his team. He's looking forward to January as well. But again, you know, to come back to your first initial point, Ali, I think it's really important to almost sign off with a win today.
Where do you think the Bluebirds need to focus? They're in 18th position in the table. Obviously, the last defeat, they were leading up until the sort of last 15 minutes of that game. Is it up front that they need to start sort of getting a bit more? I mean, there's not many goals this season, so that's what they start needing to improve in?
I think so. I think for me, I thought Cardiff were a bit of a soft touch on Tuesday against Hull and conceded soft goals, and that has happened occasionally this season. But when Kit Bray and NG play, we tend to be solid. We don't get enough players into the box for my liking. We move up the pitch well. We do get into the final third, Ali, but we're trying to hit one person in the box. Other teams get a couple of midfield runners. They might get the opposite fullback to the far post, but they tend to get more runners getting into the box. More often than not, for me, Cardiff only have one person to hit in the penalty box. So whilst we play a nice football, and we have played nice football this year, and I'll stand by the Bluebirds for that, we've got to find a way to be more of a threat in the opposition penalty area. And that for me starts with just having more players attacking the ball, a variation of run, someone going near post, someone going far post, someone holding back a little bit. Cardiff at the moment, they look too passive for me when they get towards that 18-yard box.
Well, manager Mark Hudson had his say in the lead up to this one.
Oh, what an achievement. As soon as the announcement was made, straight on the phone, messaged them both. It's huge for the football club, it's huge for Wales to have them in the squad. And we're glad to see Ruben back, obviously, at the other night, and he's got his call up, and Mark obviously deserves his as well. They're a good team, under Heckingbottom. They're full of energy. They've got some really good players within that team as well. So we know we've got to be better than we were Tuesday night, much better, and back to the sort of performance that we showed against Sunderland away. So obviously we want to go into the break with a win. But we know we've got to be ready for the game. We know what Sheffield United will bring, an intensity, a non-stop sort of attritional game, which is going to be high energy, and we need to match that and go beyond that. So we look forward to it. Losing at home was never a good time. So we were disappointed with the result. We've talked about that and possibly why. We didn't start well. We didn't manage the game well. But we've gone back over it. We know we're learning. We need to put that into some quicker learning and how to manage games. So it wasn't tight. At the time, it wasn't great. But again, we wouldn't have wanted to lose at home at any point. So it's something that we've spoke about.
So Mark Hudson knows this is a tough match for the Bluebirds. Sheffield United are currently in third at the table. What do you make of them as a team this season?
I like them. I think the fact they're third in the table, despite being decimated by injuries, there's a lot of players not in the lineup today who would walk into their first 11, would walk into anybody's first 11 in this division, particularly former Cardiff City loanee Tommy Doyle. So the fact they're in third place, they can regroup over the international break. I really like their manager, a good young coach. Had a good success at Barnsley. He's one of those modern day managers. He knows how to set his team up with and without the ball. They press zonally to win the ball back, and when they do win the ball back, they're clinical. They use their wing backs to get around the side of teams. I like them a lot, and I think the fact they're sitting in third place, not too far behind Burnley, who they beat 5-2 last weekend, with upwards of 11 players out through injury at the moment. I've got a sneaking feeling they'll be there or thereabouts come the end of the season.
They've only had one defeat in the last 5, which was the last game they played, which is... Don't
worry, I'm keeping a watching eye. Don't worry, we're okay.
It's a bit of an unusual position for them to be in. They will want the win today in order to go into that break keeping that momentum. They don't want 2 defeats on the bounce.
No, they don't. And they've still got a strong starting 11 today. They're a club not far removed from the Premier League. They haven't lost too many players, so that squad depth is still better than most in the division. So even though they have been decimated by injuries, there's still quality players in the lineup. I think, you referenced to me before the start. Billy Sharp's been knocking around for years, and you know the name, I know the name. He comes in and he poses a goal threat. So they'll want to win. They'll want to stay in those top 3 positions. They want that launch pad after the World Cup to push on and try and claim an automatic promotion place. I got to be honest, Ali, I think they will.
Yeah, I mean, the stats sort of speak for themselves. Sheffield United are the second highest scoring team in the division. The Bluebirds are the second lowest scoring. So we can probably expect some goals from Sheffield today.
We can, and again, if you watch them, and I watched them at Burnley last week, it goes back to that point I mentioned about Cardiff City. Lots of good football from Cardiff City, and they get into the final third really well, but then they don't have variation of players, variation of runs. They don't have multiple options when they're trying to break into the penalty area. Sheffield United do. They have midfielders, they have a holding midfielder, but the two other central midfield players, they'll look to break the lines to get into the box, and their wing backs are so aggressive. Ali, you'll see today, if they've got the ball down the right hand side, their left side wing back will be at the far post. He'll be an attacking player. He'll be an option to hit in that box. Cardiff don't do that anywhere near as well. Cardiff need to model themselves on the type of play that Sheffield United instigate and deploy. But Cardiff can go with anyone this season, Ali. We've seen them play against the higher teams, the likes of Norwich on opening day, Burnley here at Cardiff City Stadium. Cardiff compete well against the top of the table teams. I expect a good match here today.
In terms of the international break, how important do you think it's going to be for the Bluebirds? Specifically, the fact that it's almost a regrouping time.
Hugely important on two fronts as well. You mentioned Ruben Colwell. If he can go away, have a good World Cup, have a feel-good factor around him, and come back, how important could he be for Cardiff City in the second half of the season? So he'll be playing during the international break. Congratulations to him and Mark Harris. Yep. For the rest of the team, of course, it's about just Mark Hudson having time on the training ground. He's got 4 weeks now to get a lot of players out on the grass. How do you want the team to play? How do you want them to defend? How do you want them to work on set pieces? That's so hard to do when you go Saturday, Tuesday, to have that time on the training field. Cardiff, we're in the bottom parts of the league, but it's such a close league, Ali. 2, 3, 4 wins coming out of that international break, and who's to say who will be? So these could be 4 very, very crucial weeks for Cardiff City.
And just to note that on the 30th of November, there's the Peter Whittingham game, friendly against Aston Villa, which, although it's a friendly, will be great just to give the players a bit more time on the pitch playing together.
Yeah, absolutely. Important for that, and what a great evening. I've been following Cardiff City since 1988. I obviously know the great names before that, but in my lifetime, Peter Whittingham was the greatest Bluebird. I'll be down for that as a fan, and I hope everybody comes down and supports the trust, his family, and just what a legend Cardiff City had in Peter Whittingham. So I'll be at that. I'll also be at the women's game coming up this week as well, Cardiff City against Abergavenny Town. So Ali, you got to come down and watch that one with us, because that'll be a good game as well.
I definitely will. The Bluebird women are flying this season. They really are. It is Remembrance Weekend, so both teams will be honouring the 1 minute silence before kick-off. The game will be starting very shortly, so enjoy.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel real yet, if I'm honest. It's one of them things, takes a while to sink in, doesn't it? But I can't wait to go now, and hopefully I can sleep alright. But I can't really put it into words. Really, I feel incredibly lucky, to be honest, to be a part of such a great team, and to just be named in the squad is a great honour. Really, I can't really put it into words, if I'm honest. But even going back to the start of the season, when I sort of picked up a hamstring injury in pre-season, I was like, this isn't great. Obviously, I wanted to hit the ground running with Cardiff this season. I think it's a big year for me and for the club in general. I think we had obviously a lot of new boys coming in. It was a good chance for us to really kick on, and obviously picking up the injury was always in the back of my mind that the World Cup was coming up. And as time went on, I sort of slowly got back into it, and then picked up another injury, and then got back into it again. And it's been sort of up and down, and the closer it got, the more worried I got. But the medical staff have been incredible. They've worked so hard for me, and I feel really grateful how much effort they've put into me for this. So I'm really grateful I was able to get fit and be okay in time. But it was definitely a big worry. I let my grandparents stuff watch it on TV, so obviously I couldn't let my mother not watch it. She was just a bag of nerves, really. I just sort of showed her the message that I'd got, and she just sort of like teared up a bit and then gave me a big hug, like a big cut. So it was a really nice moment to share with my parents and my family. But I had phone calls and stuff and FaceTimes with my grandparents and stuff after. So it was a really good moment. I'm raring to go. I've sort of been caged up, and I haven't really been to been let loose. But yeah, I'm raring to go. I can't wait to get on the pitch and get some minutes. So they're obviously a really good team, but I think on our day we can beat anyone. We've had a few ups and downs this season, but if it's our day, I think we can definitely take the points home. So first and foremost, to be able to play for Cardiff's first team is unbelievable. I think at times I probably wanted to play a bit more than I was playing. But I think that comes with football. There's sometimes you get things that you think you don't deserve. You get a bit more than you deserve, and sometimes you feel like you don't get what you deserve. But it's just how football is, and you just got to take it with football, really. And I've just put my head down, worked hard in training every day, and try and make myself a better player. Because that's the only thing you can control, really, is how hard you work and if you improve and stuff. So yeah, that was really my focus when I wasn't playing last year. Obviously, at times I was a bit frustrated, but that's just how football is. I've had it since I was a kid. You know, when you're playing in teams sometimes and you don't play, it's just football, really. So I just sort of got on with it. Obviously frustrated at times, but yeah, it was. I enjoyed it, really, but I think I could have maybe give a bit more. I felt like that I could have got more out of last season if I've maybe given a bit more game time and stuff. But that's just football. Do you know what I mean? But
Top 5 in association with the Big Yellow Self-Storage Company.
Cardiff City win 3 flick-ons in the space of a matter of seconds, and the third and final finds Pilkington in the right-hand side of the area. He watches the ball drop over his shoulder and volleys it into the turf, wide of Simon Moore and into the back of the net. Good evening, welcome to Cardiff City TV.
What a finish, what a goal!
Very good afternoon. Welcome to Matchday Live, courtesy of Cardiff City TV. You join us just as the Welsh Guard are on the pitch, of course. Remembrance Weekend being led out by Regimental Sergeant Major Dan Cope. Getting a fantastic reception, as they should. And before kick-off today, we will have the last post. And we would invite you all, of course, to join us in that moment of solemnity, remembering those who have fallen in battles defending our freedom around the world. John Donovan here with you this afternoon, shortly to be joined by Connor Pearce. Headsets here in the gantry, but yes, the Welsh Guardsmen, a fabulous sight in the centre of the pitch right now. We thank them for the service. We thank everyone for their service who have fought, defended the nation, and as I say, defended democracy and freedom around the world. And it always is quite a moment when the last post is played on Remembrance Weekend. Whilst the Guardsmen are just marching to all corners of the stadium, a chance to give you a little bit of insight into this afternoon's encounter. Cardiff City, 4 changes from the frustrating defeat against Hull City on Tuesday night, when the Bluebirds, at 2-1 up, should really have gone on to close the game out. Returning are Cedric Kitbray and Ryan Wintle from suspension. Tom Sang gets a start in midfield, where he was so good in pre-season, of course. He plays in a midfield 3, and Mark Harris is of the left of a front 3. We will, of course, come to the football in a moment, but I feel these scenes need to speak for themselves. So we will break off. Join us again, please, after the last post. Stay with our pictures. We will come back with team news. But for the moment, let us leave you with the Remembrance Weekend symbolism and poignancy. We will be back very shortly. both teams onto the field. If you are just joining us, these are your teams on the graphic right now. John Donovan along with Connor Pearce this afternoon. We will break off to observe the moment of silence, the last post. Of course, Remembrance Weekend. Wreaths have been laid in the centre circle by Guardsmen from the Welsh Guards, led by Regimental Sergeant Major Dan Cope. There is the Cardiff City team. Mark Harris returns in a left attacking position. Ryan Wintle, so crucially missed on Tuesday night, is back in, as is Cedric Kipray, and Tom Sang gets a start in a midfield three. So good in pre-season. Hasn't played in that position for a while, but he will bring energy and creativity. The Sheffield United team, of course, decimated by injuries, but still a quality outfit. No Ollie McBurley to be ridiculed, jeered by the home fans this afternoon, but a replacement, the goal-scoring veteran Billy Sharp, who will no doubt give Cardiff City problems, along with Ilham Ndiaye, who a converted winger to a centre forward, brings pace, guile, strength, and will give Cardiff City's back four problems all afternoon. No Tommy Doyle for Sheffield United. He hasn't made it. Injury has derailed him, as it has done for 10 or more others of his teammates. But the Blades still sit in third position, still looking upwards, and a very tough final game for Cardiff City prior to the World Cup break. Captains just shaking hands, but as I say, we will pause, we will break off for the poignancy, the symbolism, the remembrance of Armistice Weekend and Remembrance Weekend. A moment's silence and the last post. We encourage you to join us in this moment of reflection.